If you ever find yourself getting negative thoughts, or your mind just keeps racing, or ruminations, or you've tried like meditation and you're focusing on your breath and you just can't stop your brain from thinking, I basically discovered a inner spa in our body that you can visit at any point without having to actually pay a single penny or go anywhere. And so I'm just going to share a little bit about that journey of discovering my own inner spa. I was basically at a 10-day silent meditation in Nepal doing this Vipassana retreat. And part of this meditation, they guide you to observe the sensations of your body. Now, the instructions were to start off observing a small area of the body, for example, the upper lip. And bearing in mind that this was 10 days, which is like 100 hours of sitting meditation. And after a while, I found like I just couldn't keep my mind focused on this area of my body for that length of time. After a while, my mind would just get bored and it would just wander, and I had to try and bring it back, which is actually the point of meditation. Like every time you catch your mind wandering, like, and you bring it back, like you're winning, right? That is the very intention, to be able to focus your mind on something and catch yourself, because every time you catch yourself, you're gaining awareness, right? But what I found was that the instructions was to focus on the upper lip. They said the small area of the body. And I was like, well, it doesn't have to be the upper lip. And so I wound up, I think I had my hands together or something. And I found myself noticing my heartbeat between my hands. And bearing in mind, like, you're sitting for a long time, so you fidget a lot. And so for some reason, I just had my hands together. And yeah, I found my heartbeat, my pulse between my hands. And I thought, oh, that's like a small pinpoint thing to focus on. And it's kind of moving. So maybe that will keep my focus a bit longer. And so I'm focusing on this heartbeat and focusing on this heartbeat. Before I knew it, it felt like I had the entire universe between my hands. And then eventually a lady came up to me and was like, oh, like in this type of meditations, she saw this as a prayer sign. And she was like, oh, we don't do like that kind of hand gestures. We like do it like this, or maybe like this. And I was like, oh, like, okay, well, I wasn't really praying. I was just putting my hands together. And so I remembered that there was a pulse in my thumb. And so when you do this, I could feel my finger and my thumb together. And so I was like, maybe if I could just find my heartbeat between my finger and my thumb. I remember focusing on that. And I'm like focusing on this heartbeat. Bearing in mind now, when you're focusing on your heartbeat, your mind is out of its mind. Does that make sense? Like, that sounds crazy. No, your mind is out, like, how do I put it? Like, you're not focusing on thoughts. Like when your mind's focusing on something within the body, it's not thinking thoughts, it's focused, right? And so it's a great way to, if you find observing your breath and things like that, and your mind just keeps wandering, it's a great way to take your mind off of whatever it is that, like intrusive thoughts or negative thinking or ruminations, things you don't particularly want to be thinking, because it's just making those, the neurons in your brain, those neural pathways in your brain is just stronger and stronger the more you're repeating these same stories and repeating these same thoughts. And you know that they're not like good for you. They're not positive. They're not helping you in any way. And so by focusing on your heartbeat, bearing in mind that relaxation music, that tends to be around 60 beats per minute. And that's mimicking the heartbeat when it's in a relaxed state. And so when you're no longer having intrusive thoughts, your heartbeat comes to a state of rest. And when you're focusing on that heartbeat, your entire body just goes into a state of relaxation. And so when I was focusing on this, like what felt like a few minutes, the bell rang and it was a whole hour. And that hour literally just went like that. Like I was in such a blissful state, just focusing on my heartbeat and bearing in mind that I had come out of an experience that my heart was going in one direction and my head was going in another, and it was just like at war with each other. And I found that this technique was a great way to align the head and the heart, because oftentimes like a heart wants something, it's not a logical thinker, it's very emotional, and the head is like logically like, what are you thinking? Like, are you crazy? And so yeah, like for me, that was such a great way to align myself. And it was like such a blissful state. And I found that another technique that by intertwining your fingers like this and focusing on and finding the pulse between your thumb. It takes a bit of time to find your pulse, so just have some patience, and it helps like putting some pressure, or like even if you're struggling with your fingers, you can feel the pulse in your hands like this, and you can like squeeze it a few times to get the blood rushing, and so you can start feeling the pulse. Like you could do this on the train, on the bus, like when you're just sitting somewhere, or if you're at your desk and you just need a moment. By focusing on your heartbeat, like you enter into like a spa within your body. And then if you can, oh yeah, going back to this, sorry. I found that when I focused on my heartbeat and my finger was intertwined like this, making sure that my fingers didn't touch, whenever my mind wandered, my fingers would naturally wander. And it's almost like, you know, the game of Operation, where there's like this man and like you have to try and get organs with this like tweezers or something. And if you touch the edge, it's like a metal thing and the alarm will go off. And so it's a little bit like that, in the sense that when your fingers touch, like it will bring your awareness back. And it means that you're not allowing your mind to wander too much, because there's only so much space between before your fingers touch, and you're like, oh, okay, my mind's wandered, and you bring it back. I found that like a really great way to practice that awareness of when your mind wanders, and to keep the focus of meditation. And so by practicing that, it takes time to kind of get that. You really need to come into that internal state and just kind of block out everything in the world and just find your heartbeat. You can find it on your wrist, find it between your hands, between your fingers, like anywhere around that area. And then when you're in that state of like just pure bliss, and you start expanding your awareness now to your breath, so you can start focusing your heartbeat, and now you're noticing your breath, and it becomes this like internal orchestra in your body. And it's just the most peaceful, like you don't even need relaxation music when you get into that space within your own body, because your own body is an orchestra. Like your heart is that beating drum. Your breath just moves, like your body is like in this rhythmic state. And when you're focusing on that and only focusing on that, like it's like you come out of it feeling like you've gone to a spa. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because I know a lot of people talk about meditation and like focusing on your breath, and even Vipassana, you're focused on sensations of your body, but not a lot of people talk about the heart and the heartbeat, and how like there's this idea of like heart coherence, and when you're focusing on the area of your heart and like all of this stuff, you end up in this really like blissful state, and you can enter that through focusing on your heartbeat, which is what I discovered. And that was an amazing discovery. So yeah, although Vipassana technique's slightly different, and I did go back to that as well, but that for me was kind of life-changing, knowing that you can just enter into that state at any point. Yeah, the heart's an amazing place. So if you are in a place of like ruminating or negative thoughts, or you just can't stop your brain from thinking, and you've tried meditation and you can't seem to get your mind to stop wandering and all that stuff, then maybe give this one a go. It takes a bit of time to practice, but it's one of my go-tos. And especially if I'm lying in bed and I'm trying to sleep, or I feel like there's like any anxiousness or stress arising, by bringing my attention to my heart and then my breath together, like it just kind of rhythmically soothes you to sleep. So yeah, I thought I'd just share that with you, because I thought it was really interesting, and I hope it helps if you do give it a go. And if you do give it a go, let me know how it goes in the comments below. And if you're finding that these stories are helping you in any way, then please do like and subscribe. It does help boost the channel, because it is a new channel. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.